Hi, authors. So you are watching this mini lesson because you have come to the end of your drafting and you are really wanting to make a strong ending to finish your piece. Great thinking. I am also at the end of my drafting for my Finding Crab story, and I am ready to write something that will really stick with my reader. So when we think about writing a strong ending, we have like one goal in mind, and that is to make this thing that we end on really stick with the reader. Okay? So in order to make a good ending, you really have to think about your whole story, right? And think about, what is the purpose of my story? What do I want my reader to think? What do I want them to feel? And this last few sentences is where you really hammer in that feeling so that when your reader closes your book or turns off, finishes your story, they hold that thinking in their mind. Okay? So let's take a look at our mentor text to see how Pat Mora ends Tomas and the Library Lady. Tomas closed his eyes. He saw the dinosaurs drinking cool water long ago. He heard the cry of the wild snakebird. He felt the warm neck of the dinosaur as he held on tight for a bumpy ride. So thinking about that ending, my question to you is, what do you think Pat Mora wanted us to keep thinking or feeling as we finish the book? In my mind, I feel like she or he, Pat could be a she or he name, this author really wanted us to understand the importance of what books did for Tomas, right? The last thing was him reading a book and really going on another adventure. And so that feeling, the message here, the thing that this author wants us to hold on to is that books can take you anywhere, right? The importance of stories. So now when you are trying to write your own ending, something really strong, you'll want to think back to your whole piece and think, like, what is the purpose? What's the message I'm trying to get across here? And let me tell you a few ways that, that might guide your thinking here. So as authors, we might end our story with a strong feeling. If there's an emotion you want your readers to hold on to, like happiness, sadness, something that you really want to convey in your story, you want to end on a strong feeling. You might end on humor. If your story is a funny story, you want that last sentence to get that reader laughing, to make sure they leave thinking, whoa, that was a funny story. You might also think about a hope or a wish you have or the character has to kind of end that story in a hopeful way, and as the author or from the character's point of view, end your story with a hope or wish. You might also make a really strong description to make just a final movie in the reader's mind, some mental images. And you might actually end with a lesson too. So if your characters, or if you, because it's your personal narrative, if you learned a lesson, you might end your story with that. And you might say something like, I will always remember this time because, right? To really wrap it up and make the reader understand why this moment in your life, why this personal narrative is so important. So for my personal narrative about finding crabs and how Atlas gets his little finger hurt, I think I want to end on a lesson. This story did kind of teach me a lesson that even though things can go all wrong, and Atlas can have this big old crab stuck to his finger and he's waving it around, this story actually ended good because Atlas gave me a big hug and he felt better and it didn't really hurt that bad. So the lesson, I have a lesson of that story. It's like, even though everything goes all wrong, it can still turn out all right. Ooh, that sounds really nice. I'm going to write that down. As I walked away from the beach with Atlas in my arms, he gave me a big hug and said, "Thank you for saving my finger. It just goes to show that even when things go all wrong, they can end up all right. There's my ending. I think it's pretty strong, and I want the reader to walk away from reading this story and think, oh, that's a nice story. So now when you go off to draft your own ending, ask yourself, what do I want the reader to think as they walk away from my book? That should give you a good guide as how to write your ending. All right, good luck, have a great time, and I'll talk to you soon.